When I put this up, it should be Tuesday, January 21st, and we are in our brave new world. And I want to review something that makes me happy. Edelbrand. Edelbrand Pure Distilling, which is a adorable older couple just outside the St. Louis area in, I think it's Marthasville. Yeah, Marthasville, Missouri. They do everything field to glass, pretty much. They bottle on site, they ferment on site, they distill in a teeny tiny 18-gallon copper still. So if you have ever seen a bourbon barrel in your life, you're thinking like a still that is a quarter of the size of that, and they do everything on there. And they make eau de vie. They make old school Swiss style eau de vie. And today we are reviewing their least expensive offering. Well, one of them. At least until their gin comes out. Do not sleep on their gin, by the way, because I've had it and it's awesome. But this is their Vinars da Gervosa. I'm probably screwing that up. And it is an eau de vie of Russian Imperial Stout. This is number 625. So what they did was they went over to Urban Chestnut, which is a brewery in the St. Louis area, and they took basically their mash of malt and beery stuff and hops, and they distilled it, and they made this. And yeah, so it was one single batch. How many bottles of this? Did I write it down? Yeah, so 356 half bottles. So that we are in like artisanal mezcal territory of how small a batch this is. 40% ABV, you deal with it. Batch number 2302. And again, it's distilled from the Thrales Russian Imperial Stout. So let us smell and taste this. Yeah, I mean, it smells like an eau de vie of Imperial Stout. Like, that is what this smells like. It does what it says on the tin. So you were getting, I mean, like, just dark malt, right? Chocolate malt, that kind of thing. Like, melted milk chocolate, but there's also like a cocoa shells thing. So my mother-in-law introduced me to like cocoa shell tea. It's a health foodie thing, but it's very, very distinctive smell. What else? So this is going to sound a little bit weird, but you know you go into the grocery store and you see like the little bottles of Starbucks creamy coffee stuff, whatever that is, and it costs like $3 for a bottle, and you chill it down, you chug it whenever you need a shot of caffeine and sugar, and you don't want to do like Red Bull. It's kind of got that. It's kind of got that like bottled Starbucksy creamy thing. I don't know. It's little hints of floral and pot, hashish. I mean, those are the hops, right? I mean, it's not overwhelming. Like it's not like you're in line at a McDonald's to get a milkshake and there's a guy next to you who's just like lit up. It's not that. It's just like a little whiff of pot in the background. It's a little bit of a light hazelnut thing. What's remarkable is just how clean this is. Like, this is, if you smell most grain spirits, even from really good distilleries, before they've gone into barrel to kind of clean themselves up, you tend to get off notes. You tend to get fusels. You tend to get, just weird stuff going on. This is so gosh darn clean, despite being basically a grain eau de vie. On the palate. You notice I poured myself a little bit more of this than usual because Edelbrand goes fast. It's very crushable. It's very just easy to drink. What they do. Last time I reviewed them, it was against a whole bunch of other American fruit brandies, and I don't think they won every head-to-head, but they were the winner overall, like by miles. The only complaint I have about their stuff tends to be the bottling strength. I wish they would up it a little bit. Then again, maybe this is close to distillation strength for them. I don't know what they're doing over there. Once again, it kind of says, does what it says in the tin. I mean, it's an eau de vie of Imperial Stout. It's just so dang clean. Like, similar notes from the nose. So cocoa shells, dark malts, roasted malts. It's got that kind of pot thing still, but also like a kind of like citrus floral kind of character. Sour chocolate. It's kind of bittersweet and floral in the finish, especially like once you're past the first sip, this starts to build in your mouth pretty well, considering the bottling strength. It's very solid mouth presence. So normally with something of this strength, I wouldn't bother giving it any water, but I'm going to make an exception here because it works. 1, 2, 3, let's go 4. I'll come back to it. I mean, this is just... I love what these folks are doing. It's not... Their stuff is expensive. It just is expensive, and that has to do with the tiny scale of what they're doing. And it's easy when you're doing like a review channel like this or watching a review channel like this to kind of like start min-maxing everything. Like what is the best I can get out of, $40? I can tell you right now, it's not going to be a half bottle of eau de vie of Russian Imperial Stout. But tell me, honestly, have you ever tasted an eau de vie of Russian Imperial Stout before? Because I have. I mean, this is just an example of something I really kind of love about the U.S. I mean, it's not just a U.S. thing, but the fact that you can go to basically any city in flyover country, for example, and say Cleveland, and go to all the coffee places and get yourself an espresso, and there's going to be lots of bad espresso. There's going to be lots of just bitter, watery, under-extracted dreck coming out of a super automatic. And there's going to be lots of perfectly acceptable stuff too. But you're always going to find the one or two places where there's like someone who was all, we tasted through espresso options for years, and the one we really settled upon was a honey processed Rwanda, and we blend a little bit of like Malaysian Liberica or something in there for fun. You're like, huh? And oh, by the way, I made the espresso machine out of old auto parts myself. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you try it, and it's good and it's different. It's not like something you've ever tried before, or like you fly to Paso or something, a wine country, and you drive around, try all the wineries. You're going to taste a lot of gooey, jammy, over-oaked drac. You're also going to taste a lot of perfectly acceptable things. But there's always going to be a couple of people who come out and they're like, yeah, I grow Aglianico and Petit Verdot, and here's a blend. And you're like, okay. And you try it, and it's good, and it's not like anything you've tasted before. That's kind of awesome. I kind of love that those sorts of maniacs exist out there. And they're not always making the most spectacular stuff. They're not always, the cheapest options and probably the most commercially successful, but they're making something you've never had before. And this is like that. It feels very special, and kind of everything that Edelbrand does feels very special. Now this has had some time. Let's go back to it. Nose with water. The water kicks out the pot a little bit more. There's a little bit more hashish going on. But also a little bit more of a citrus note. There's a little bit of a kind of a lemon zest thing happening. This is just really darn well made. I give him credit for that. On the palate, ooh. With water, the mouthfeel actually gets a little bit richer. It's a little bit more powerful. And let me tell you something. That is a rarity when you're dealing with spirits at 40%. Usually, they're not going to like fall apart on you if you give them a couple drops of water, but usually you'll bring out a certain bitterness. Often there's some like almost a cardboardy note that comes out, or some ethanol. Not a trace of that here. Here it just firms itself up and clings to your palate that little bit more on the finish. The cocoa shells are coming out a little bit more. As is a little bit of citrus. Yeah, there's a little hint of like orange zest, lemon zest coming out now, kind of mingling with the florals and the pot notes. I had this at 83 plus. I'm gonna give it an 84. I mean, it's. I wish I could give it more than that, but I feel like the bottling strength is bringing it down just a little bit. That said, this is absolutely delicious. It's impressive, and you have not had this before. You have not tasted what this tastes like before, and I feel like that, if nothing else, is worth your time. Go check these guys out. If you haven't already, I don't even know if they have like a visitor's policy or anything like that, but I'm going to try to make it to St. Louis area one of these days. Anyways, 84 points, but in my heart, it's way more than that. For the Edelbrand Vinars da Gervosa Eau de Vie of Thrales Russian Imperial Stout. Thanks for watching, and cheers.